Good evening, everyone. Today is Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. This is the meeting of the Gloucester School Committee. We are meeting at the Gloucester High School Library at 32 Leslie O. Johnson Road in Gloucester. The public is welcome to attend meetings in person or alternatively through the Zoom link provided on the agenda. The meeting notice will reflect if the meeting is via Zoom only. Recent amendments to open meetings will allow the school committee may continue to hold meetings remotely. Please note the in-person meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the remote connection. I call this meeting to order and remind everyone the mission of Gloucester Public Schools is for all students to be successful, engaged, lifelong learners. And I ask you to stand and see. And to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will do introductions. We'll start with Stephanie.
Stephanie DeLacy, recording secretary.
Jane Herman, GHS representative.
Kathy Clancy, school committee chair.
Laura Leeson, school committee member.
Jeremy McKean, school committee member.
Ben Lomas, superintendent.
Amy Pasquarello, assistant superintendent.
James Scott, principal of Gloucester High School.
And we have Keith.
Keith was switching to, he's an attendee. It showed that he was gonna be a panelist, but I don't know what happened.
Can you move?
He's
Keith
raising his
Minio,
hand.
another school committee member is
Oh, he's raising his hand.
online, and we need to shift his status to panelist.
Got it.
Yeah. And I see Gary Frisch is online as well.
He's on mute.
I'm here now.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, super.
I'm here
Yeah.
too.
Okay. First item of business is oral communications. If anybody would like to speak, now is the time to do so. The public shall have the opportunity at every regular school committee meeting to be heard under oral communications. Oral communications shall allow any resident who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to the school committee business to appear before the school committee, state their problem without debate, and the matter may be referred to the proper subcommittee. For items that are on the agenda, members of the public may address the committee with the permission of the chair. Persons speaking under oral communication shall be limited to 3 minutes each and shall submit a copy of their prepared communication to the recording secretary. So if there's anybody,
No one has a hand raised.
no hands raised.
We'll wait.
Oh, wait,
There's one.
no, I got one.
Okay, and we have somebody here, so you may go first.
Oh,
My name is Sean Lilly. I reside at 4 Kitefield Road in Rockport. I am a teacher here at the life skills program here at the high school. I'm a member of the Union of Gloucester Educators. I'll be very brief. My concern tonight is we have a president who recently authorized the roundup of immigrants in courthouses, in churches, and in schools. I know for myself and for many of my brother and sister educators, we have students from an immigrant population who are vulnerable to roundups of this kind. I urge this committee, I urge my brother and sister educators, I urge this community as a whole to begin to formulate a plan for how we would respond to such roundups happening here in our community. The worst thing we can do is an adopt it can't happen here attitude. It very much can happen here. The fact that we are in a blue state, the fact that we are a somewhat rural community will not protect us. And we have to think of this as protecting us. These are our students. They are part of our community. We are responsible for them. My union has shown time and time again that we're ready to stand up and speak truth to power, that we are ready to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. I urge everyone in this chamber and in this community to adopt a similar attitude to protecting our most vulnerable population. Right now, that's our immigrant population. Please think ahead. Do not adopt, and it can't happen here attitude, because if we do, it will happen here. Thank you.
It is definitely on our, we are well aware.
I can give an update, just after, comment.
After the comment, okay. Okay, and then Adrienne Ritchie-Munn is online with her hand raised.
Thank you. I have a common thread to what Sean had just spoke about, so I'll be brief. I was just wondering if, like you were saying, you had to start discussions of the possibility of ICE involvement in our city and schools. And we know law is the law, right? But like questions such as like, what as teachers are we able to do or say to protect our students, right? Those that may be targeted, and then potentially friends that may be affected by such targeted actions if the situation arises. You know, as teachers, we like to be prepared. And I think having a common message to all Gloucester Public School staff and our community is really beneficial for our community as a whole. So I appreciate that you're taking the time to discuss this and look forward to hearing what your thoughts are and how we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So just a
I
quick
see no other
oh,
hands,
sorry.
so that's the end of oral communications.
Just a quick update, and certainly appreciate Ms. Ricky-Mung and Ms. Tully, they're bringing this really important topic forward, bringing about news and otherwise. We've seen how just recently with the public schools, have made a very strong stance for their students. I would echo a couple of things here. One, absolutely entirely committed to every student's constitutional right and masters to a free public education, and that's any student. We do not check in any way, shape, or form immigrant status or citizenship status for our students, and won't. And then also have a real moral and ethical responsibility to protect our students from all sorts of harm. Just yesterday, so we've had a community stakeholders group operating for many years since I got here. We started it. That group, which consists of many local agencies as well as city departments, so everything from Action and Wellspring and Pathways, and schools, sort of free library, Cape Ann Museum. I'm missing a number of them. We work closely with Gloucester Housing. That group has continued to be focused on multilingual families and immigrant families, supporting them. It's over many years. And yesterday, again, they were discussing the most recent, just call it news. Related to that, one of the next steps for me is to check with the mayor to find out, his point person. But those groups have been committed, as well as the schools, on supporting, protecting, and making sure migrant families, multilingual families know they are an essential part of our school community and will continue to do so. Need to get further guidance from the mayor, staff, or others on what we can do in this sort of new atmosphere, new environment we're in, or renewed, I should say. But concerned about it, paying attention to it, and we'll understand, more about what steps we can take. But always want to assure all families, particularly those who are at risk or at harm's way, that they are a vital and important part of our school community, and need to make sure that they continue to be so. I appreciate folks asking about it, and we'll come forward and more answers and definitely more support.
Next item of business is recognitions. Recognize?
I will recognize that 4th and 5th grade chorus have started, which is a real great new opportunity for, I don't think it's the first year, but I think maybe it's the second year, but so just another great opportunity for elementary school students in Gloucester Public Schools to start another experience with the arts.
Second.
Okay. And we have Gloucester Student Advisory Council, and we have Jane with us this evening. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. My first update is about today's bowling tournament. So sophomore at GHS was diagnosed with cancer in late August and will be in treatment for at least the remainder of the school year. And our goal as a community is to support her as much as we can on her road to recovery. Today, a bowling tournament fundraiser was held at Cape Ann Lanes, and I hear that the final results are being tallied. Before the fundraiser even began today, the community had already supported the cause with over $4,000 of purchased raffle tickets, and the Sunshine Fund donated $500. All proceeds will be directly donated to the student and her family. Beyond today's tournament, the Hockey Boosters will be doing a 50-50 raffle, and another GHS parent is planning to host a karaoke night, both with the purpose of raising money for the student. Next, with midterms fast approaching, students are preparing for projects and exams. The Italian Club has been tutoring 9th grade students after school weekly, and NHS students stay after school on Mondays and Wednesdays to help with credit recovery, in which they are tutoring students who need help to pass classes and prepare for exams. Next, I'd like to recognize an NHS fundraiser. It's a clothing drive. So NHS members will be accepting donated clothing, shoes, accessories, and home items. After donating to the bin in the atrium, you are automatically entered into a raffle to win gift cards and items from local businesses. We are happy to report that the first bin is already filled. Next, I have some updates from 3 of the 4 classes at GHS. So the freshman class will be hosting a restaurant night at Jalapenos on March 3rd, and a portion of the proceeds from this fundraiser will go to the class. There are more details to come as planning continues. Transitioning to the sophomore class, their student council recently had a successful restaurant fundraiser at the Azorian. They're hoping to do a canning weekend soon and are in the midst of planning. Finally, the junior class will again be putting on a Wizards basketball game on February 1st. Last year was a huge success and they're hoping for another great game. They will also be planning a Valentine's fundraiser within the next few weeks. In addition to class fundraisers, we have some sports fundraisers coming up. The girls basketball team will be hosting a fundraiser at the Saltwater Grill next Tuesday, January 28th. If you're unable to attend, the hockey team will also be hosting a fundraiser at the Saltwater Grill on February 5th. Next, from the theater program, they'll be hosting a Battle of the Bands on Friday, February 7th. Local young bands will be able to compete to win up to 30% of ticket sales, and tickets are $5 and will go on sale soon. Lastly, I would like to report that today during homeroom, student council and NHS students were assigned a faculty member to be their secret pal. During the week of Valentine's Day, students will be celebrating by performing random acts of kindness to show love and support for all faculty and staff. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're welcome to stay, but we understand you probably have a lot to do. But thank you for being.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Jane, actually, sorry, Jane, I appreciate you being here in person a lot. Thank you. Also,
Thank you.
the detailed reports is great. And as Scanlon just said, you're always welcome to stay and participate in the
Okay.
presentations and ask us questions or stuff. So I'm not saying you should, but please know that it's open to you to be not a full voting member of the committee, but a more significant participant. So,
Okay,
and you and other, representatives. So
okay, thank
If
you.
you see anything riveting on our agenda that you want to.
All right, I'll check. Thank you.
And be part of the discussion, the conversation, and ask questions. So all of that is open to you and your fellow, representatives. So
Okay, thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Next item of business is the consent agenda. Anybody have any items they would like to remove?
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please. Stephanie?
Yes. Mr. McKean,
Yes.
Chairperson Clancy,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
He's silenced.
Well, he's got to mute himself.
That's what I meant.
Kate?
If you're gonna mute yourself.
Kate?
Okay, finally, sorry. Yes, there's troubles with my cell phone I'm trying to use here, sorry.
Okay. You voting, is that a vote yes on the consent agenda?
Yes, did you hear me?
Yes. All right, great. Thank you. Okay, wait, no.
Oh, sorry. Ms. Weason.
Yes. Okay, all right, so we will move on to deliberations on education issues and superintendent's report.
Okay, great. Let's see here. So tonight we are having update on so we're talking my report from around the district, some goings on. We'll have a staffing update. We'll have update about the Gloucester High School competence determination. We'll also have a staffing update. And then a vote on the school calendar for 26-27. So bring up the presentation here. So as we say in the Gloucester Public Schools, every day matters. Everybody belongs. So my report on January 22nd. So first start off with the Sawyer Medal Night. This is the awards night on January 9th. You can see Jane Herman was an awardee. And she's also a prior Sawyer Medal winner. Here are the students, a nice picture of them in the lecture hall after the awards. Also gave out 2 book awards as well. But you can see this is a combination of 9th graders, 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders. As I said there that night, this is one of my favorite events of the year, partially because it's always really multi-generational. So we have not only new award winners, but often family members of theirs have been award winners. And it doesn't mean like brothers and sisters, sometimes parents and also grandparents. That happened once again. So it's great to have really congratulations to the winners here. The National Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. So as you know, we are rebuilding to a Navy program, and they had their first area manager inspection evaluation last month. And under the leadership of Chief Robinson, Mark Robinson, who's our new leader of JROTC. They passed the inspection. Flying colors. They're reviewed in the areas of administration of the program, reporting and records, cadet performance, and also college and career readiness. They passed all those areas. The full report is in your packet, just where you can review that and see the areas and how they did. Really want to appreciate Chief Robinson. He's been a fantastic addition to not only the program, and rebuilding it with a sense of purpose and enthusiasm and energy, also competence, but also has been a really great addition to the Gloucester High School staff as well. So we really see he's starting off well, really putting a lot of energy into the program, and that's always infectious. So we want to appreciate him and the work he's doing with the cadets. The award-winning cartoonist and author, Mark Parisi, who's at Plum Cove. There's the photo from there. He is a cartoonist of Off the Mark, which is a comic strip. He's great. He's also a former Gloucester High School student, which is pretty amazing. And he was able to show that and also give out some things to the Plum Cove students. Also talked about how he got started as a cartoonist and author. So always helping our kids get excited about what Gloucester folks done well. But also sharing with them, career paths and the like. So, O'Malley update. So the benchmark testing is it's underway at O'Malley. They're finishing up their writing benchmarks. Those are district benchmark writing assessments in ELA, and also taking STAR 360 in math and ELA this week and probably the next week. Also, we started access testing across the district. Access testing, if you remember, is the statewide test to measure the English proficiency for our multilingual students and English learners. So it's happening not only at O'Malley, but across the district. Some concerts here, winter concerts that were rescheduled for, some of them were rescheduled for just this month. So here you see West Parish grades 4 and 5 band, and then 1, 2, and 3 performing winter concert. I think another photo here, you see Mr. Cressy Giovanni on the left-hand side and Ms. Koptoski on the right-hand side. leading their respective groups.
There you are. Emma.
Keith, you might want to mute,
Oh, sorry.
all right?
I thought I was.
Yep, no, it's okay. Appreciate the enthusiasm, not a problem. Beam Winter Concert is there on the left, and I was able to visit them to see the youngest kids go. So that's what you see there. First of all, you see the great big crowd there on the left. This is for the morning concert with, I think it was K1 and 2, I believe. You see Mr. Jonathan Beekes there, right in the front. He's our new music teacher at Beeman, doing a really nice job of organizing a great concert, teaching our students to sing out loud, which I'm always impressed by, because I was one of the kids who muttered my way through chorus. But then also really grateful for the fantastic turnout. So both Beeman and West Parish, a couple of great concerts here. Continued news coming out of our Career Voc Tech education program here at the high school. So again, we always, especially with our CBT students, want to get them out of the building and doing the work that they're trained and learning how to do. So we had a visit to the building commission earlier this month and learning how to use the city's online permitting system. If you're in any of the trades, using any city's permitting system is crucial, like vital to your business and your work. So great to have for them to learn about that from our building commissioner, Rob Vicari, who's been a great help. Also, great collaboration between the electrical students and the carpentry students. We got some feedback from, especially on the electrical side, from our advisory group, group of professionals who advise each program, to say that they were learning quite a bit of commercial electrical work, but needed to learn more residential. And so the solution to that, between Mr. Devlin and Mr. Abel, was to build half a house inside the electrical shop, I believe. Is that right? That's right. And do residential electrical work there. So that's a nice way to solve a difficult challenge, actually, but then get our kids some experience in an area where they need to, but also learn from our advisory folks, set professionals, and we're able to respond for the best leadership. And then also in terms of the automotive program, in September, we installed a new automotive alignment machine that we were able to purchase through a Skills Capital grant from a year ago. You can see there, Teacher Bud Maceo on the left, working with all the students, Zach Soundis, Aiden Cahill, on using the new tire alignment machine. This is the sort of thing you go in and it's great to go in and visit and hear the excitement about new machines, especially things like alignment machines, which are always getting more and more advanced, and us having sort of some top line equipment there from a lot of both partners, donations, but also some great grant work from Brenda Wassler. The Sawyer Free Library, so city managers, including myself, were able to visit Sawyer Free Library just recently. They are on schedule for moving in May and June, a soft launch sort of in July, and then a grand opening in September. And I show this to folks because the whole entire second floor, and you're just seeing part of it here in these photos, is dedicated to children's and teens programming. So on the right-hand side, you see this double height room is the children's wing floor. I mean, it's a huge space, a beautiful space. On the right-hand side is the teen room. It's the first time I have a teen room at the Sawyer Free. And what you don't see is another room, which is a children's programming room. Now on that, there's sinks and they can have project-based work in there, have smaller groups in there. So it's just really exciting. We know that not only the schools, but also children and teens from around the city will really take advantage of this, what will be a tremendous new city resource once it's completed and open later summer, early fall. So excited about that. So that's just sort of some news from around the district. Want to go into the next steps. So the FY26 budget development process, just a quick update on that. Something that's different in the budget development process this year is we are incorporating district perspective of Assistant Superintendent Amy Pasquarello and also Director of Special Education Mike Jarvis into our initial planning meetings and discussions with principals. We used to do that sort of separate and outside the conversations. Those conversations would happen separately with the special education director. And with the superintendent, and now we're combining them, and that gives us in that one room. We also include finance director Cody Marshall, with myself and Gary Frisch. Is we're all getting the same information at the same time, and at the same time hearing from the schools, but also make sure schools understand some of the areas that Amy and Mike Jarvis are seeing from across the district too. So that's really been so far, I think, very effective and just really helping to not only streamline the process, but make sure it's just sort of fully informed from the beginning. So really pleased with that. And the next step on when we get going with the sort of public part, budget development process, are our budget priorities presentations we do every year. You can see the schedule there, February 4th, 6th, and 12th. Those are to the budget and finance subcommittee, but of course, other committee members are welcome to participate, get the materials. Of course, they're open to the public as well. So just that's the quick update on some changes we're making in the process, but also where we go next. Any questions about that? Great. All right, now we're going to get into a staffing update. So I know folks have been concerned about our staffing and how it's happening this year and ups and downs. So I thought I would come forth with some concrete data on how things are going. So I'm going to give folks an update on sort of just resignations, departures, and hiring since the beginning of the year. What positions we have open right now, and also give some statewide data and compare that to our retention in recent years as well across our comparison districts. So first of all, our current openings are occupational therapy assistant, the multilingual teacher at East Veterans. We also have some teachers at Gloucester Preschool, East Veterans, and East Veterans. So I think if I have that right, that's 1, 2, 3 teacher openings. And then we have some long-term substitutes. So this is typically for folks who've taken leaves, a number of types of leaves. So for ESP at O'Malley, and then an ELA and socialist teacher at O'Malley as well. So a couple more at O'Malley there. We have 4 ESP openings. One was Parish, 2 East Veterans, 1 at O'Malley. Part-time cook at Beeman, and then bus drivers. We would ideally like 3 more. We've started 1, another one's in training right now. But there's ups and downs, not always, but really would like to have 3 more. Lori Francis really is aiming for 3 more. I think we have another one in the pipeline. But it's always a challenge between retaining folks coming. So we gained a number of bus drivers in the last couple of years. We've also lost some too for that. So then looking at departures since the beginning of the school year, there have been a total of 7 teachers and 9 paraprofessionals. This is from the beginning of the school year. I'll show you some more details on that in a moment. Just to summarize or basic the reasons for departure, a combination of reasons: retirement, moving away. One folks moved to Maine, a person moved overseas, moving to a higher position in a different district. So like moving to an instructional coach position or administrative position, that sort of thing. Sometimes the position was too challenging for the person, and or they're seeking a less complex position. I'll just talk about that in a little more depth in a moment. Another reason for leaving: higher salary in another district, or also leaving the education field. So typically get we do exit interviews. We need to catch up on a number of them of recent departures, but we do typically get a pretty good sense. Either in formal or informal conversations with the folks about why they're leaving. We also do exit interviews as well. So we do see that there are the reason that these 2 the top ones are in bold, because those are 2 that have been opening since the beginning of the year. Those are the only 2 on this list that have been opening since the beginning of the year, in addition to bus drivers, sorry. And those are positions, as well as special education, we'll talk about in a moment. Occupational therapy assistant, any occupational therapy position, and EL or multilingual teachers are some of the most difficult to find. That is proving the case for us as well. So we've had 4 departures in hard to fill positions, 4 in special education teachers, and 1 multilingual teacher. So we've had that opening at East Veterans, plus we lost a multilingual teacher. She left to take a instructional coach position in another district, which are lost in their game. The longer term pattern for the committee to be aware about, and what the schools are experiencing are elementary special education district-wide programs. So let me just talk about that this is one of the programs at East Veterans and another at West Parish. A teacher departed those two classrooms at the end of last year. And then also, each of those same classes lost someone during this fall as well. And so, I think we've got a pretty good handle on why it's happening. One reason it's happening is we're hiring new staff. And these are complex, in classrooms with complex needs of students. And they're difficult, they're challenging. They've typically been well staffed in terms of the number of staff, but that still doesn't make it a simple place to be. We also know that and Mike Jarvis will, when he comes to the committee, will talk more about how to build up these programs and make them stronger through program design, through training of staff, and that should also help. So it's partly getting the right people, hiring the right people who have the sort of experience and stamina and perspective in supporting students with complex needs. Also the support and the program design, all those need to work together, and they haven't been. So that's an area I think we have probably the most, have recently had the most sort of regular turnover. So that's something we are paying attention to and continue to work hard on. And need to do more. Here are just about month by month departures. So you see September, a couple of ESPs, and these the same number that I showed you before. So 9 ESPs, 7 teachers. The highlighted ones are the education program teachers I just talked about. So if you think about having a departure at the end of last school year, and then departures again during this school year, you're seeing how that's a real pattern basically, and like that's it work on. But you see, across some schools, large schools, often schools with higher, more challenging populations in terms of special education, maybe EL as well, so that EL people losing that as well. So I think I'd say this about special education specifically, and also multilingual teachers, is if you look at just about any school district in Massachusetts, that especially one who's serving more urban populations, more diverse populations, you'll see similar openings. You'll see similar openings on special education programs and especially moderate and severe needs. You'll see similar openings on multilingual teachers as well. So it's a challenge. It's something we need to be better at, but it's not not specific to Gloucester. It doesn't make things any easier for us, but it's just that's sort of the larger perspective. There's also been a discussion about retention, and this is from the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. We report to them, and then they report out across the whole entire state. You see, this is reporting. Sorry, this is from 2016 to 2017 is the first one. From 2016 to this most recent year, last year, and you see that we are typically above the state average in teacher retention. Always above. There's only 1 year here, I believe we were below, and that was 2021, 2022. So that's sort of the second COVID year, so to speak. Which is above the state retention average. And then we also compare, across many indicators with our neighboring districts and our DART districts. You can see here also sort of in the middle of the pack as well. There's the state total and state average in the bottom. This is for this single year here, but you can see not anywhere near at the bottom. In fact, quite far above the bottom, and then we're within 5 percentage points of the top. So always like to be better on that. But I just wanted to give a little broader perspective and some concrete data on where we are on retention. Especially the last that's going from 23 to 24. Does not include from last year to this year yet. And then working to expand our recruitment efforts. This is again an area we need to become stronger in. We had a local job fair at East Veterans on Tuesday. That's the second of the year, right? I was thinking, okay, my year's a little mixed up.
The first one was in August.
August, okay, yes, yes, yep, so the second of this school year essentially, that's right. November, September, or August. Upcoming statewide job fairs we'll participate in, Bridgewater State and Boston University. We're unveiling to the principals next week an improved tracking process for during the hiring process. And then looking into apprenticeships and other partnerships with local colleges. The DESE has launched a registered teacher apprenticeship program where districts would partner with colleges and universities. And we're looking into that. That's a defined, it's a paid apprenticeship that is a pathway towards employment. So we have to learn more about that to see if we all qualify, but are in a position to participate. So just a few areas on a real need. I'd say definitely stress an area we need to strengthen our operation of. Any questions by any of that? Good, keep on moving. And so school choice enrollment update. So every fall, we give you an enrollment update about our students in our schools here. And then at that point, always tell you that we will have the school choice numbers. Those are folks who from our schools who are going out to other districts. And those folks from other districts who are choicing into our schools. That data comes to us in January, and then we give you a report. This is not out of district special education. This is school choice. So folks who choose to come to our schools or choose to go to other schools outside of Boston. So first we're looking at the choice into our schools. Outside districts, so you see this is by school, pointing to high school. It's the biggest school that makes sense, and also is more movement typically at the high school level for choice. You see we have these 40 total students across our grade levels choicing into the district. This is by grade level. First by school, now by grade level here. Again, the higher numbers are at the upper grades. There's the total by town. So 28 Rockport students are choicing in, and then you have a smattering from a bunch of other districts across the North Shore. I was asked, why do folks come in from places like Beverly, Lynn, Essex, further away? Partly that's they have family here or have had family here, or maybe were enrolled in their schools before. And that sometimes it has to do with where their family parents work. But also it has something to do with staff members too. Some staff members want their kids to go to school here. Yep, a combination of things. Now we're gonna change to school choice out of Gloucester. So those families who live in Gloucester but choose to go to public school district outside of Gloucester. And this I'll also show you Essex Tech. But this is not Essex Tech. You can see the trend is consistently downward for the last few years. So we were at a high in FY18 of 305, and then going down a little bit, and then more significantly recently, especially this year, by far our lowest numbers since I've been keeping track. 215 students choicing out, live in Gloucester, but choose to go to school in other districts. So that's progress, real progress. As you go from 238 to 215. These are the students and where they choose to go to school. Rockport's always the highest. You see there 145. I'll give you some more detail on that in a moment. And then really, this is sort of by proximity, more or less, right? Virtual schools can be a number of them. There are two state ones, Greenfield Tech Virtual Academy, and then TECA, which is the other statewide virtual school. And then these are school choice out to Rockport. So again, you see some real progress here. The trend is the same, and we're at our lowest for as long as I know of, 145. So we've gone down by 50 students just since FY21. Folks who are staying in district. You've seen from our earlier report that our total enrollment is staying steady, which tells us that, it says that to me, that says that more students of choice are choosing to stay in Gloucester, which is no progress.
I think has his hand raised.
Oh,
Keith, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, for the students who went out of district, does that include homeschool students?
No, it's only in public school districts. So it
Okay,
doesn't
so they-
also, no,
They left our public school for another public school,
yes,
or another school, or is it just public schools?
public school districts.
Okay,
It does not include private, parochial, or homeschooling.
okay, all right, thank you.
They don't report to us. The other ones, we're obligated to report to other districts and they're obligated to report to us. With the state as well, so.
Do we, just following up on that, do we have, right, do we have any informal numbers on that, on homeschooling, parochial and private?
Oh, homeschool, we have exact numbers, because they have
Yeah,
to
those
essentially, I can report those to you, I don't have those. Would be a good thing to include in this report.
And then,
Um,
do we have numbers on private or?
no, you know, shoot, so that's something. No, we don't, yeah, I'll toss them in, but not if it's.
Okay.
So, and then Essex Tech, this number is quite steady. They have a sort of a quota, so to speak. But you can see it's either 99 or it's 107. I'm not sure what the difference is, but.
Right. Some years one, some.
Yeah, so, but that's very steady for us. And then, it's by grade level. So, again, I know what I was gonna say is, this is where, students are now, it's not when they choiced out. Okay, we do know, from my earlier report, you may remember, we've really identified that it's not 8th to 9th grade or 5th to 6th grade where we lose most students, or we see decline in enrollment, I should say. It's 9th to 10th to 10th to 11th. And just speaking with Kathy in preparation for this meeting, is sort of, because we had done an effort 2 or 3 years ago to track down folks who left, okay, and learn from them, and got very few responses. And it was harder to identify folks who choiced out further, longer ago. So we didn't get really good data on that. When talking with Kathy, realized that those folks who have just left, so the 9th to 10th, the 10th to 11th, those are folks who we do know and may be able to track them down more easily. And also because it's fresher, may also be able to learn from them. So why they made those choices. That's the most significant drop at any point along the 13 grades where we see a decline in enrollment from one year to the next.
It's approximately 55.
55 homeschools.
Approximately, I'm not sure when last time, this has been updated recently.
Thank you. Just noting, it's interesting because the most students come into Gloucester High School, right? That's the moment the most students come in.
Yeah.
It's also the moment the most students go out.
Right, yeah.
Is that, James is here too.
Not necessarily go out, but are out,
Oh,
because they may have left,
they may have left.
they may have never been in those schools, but choice kindergarten or third or whatever. And they just continue
Right.
on.
Yeah, because again, this isn't where they left, when they left.
This
It's
is
just
now.
that. Yeah,
I
right,
see.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I can I think,
Yeah.
it's, Laura, you're speculating on that. I know that, anecdotally, I can say that, one of the things that happens going out and coming in are significant, issues around social groups in a school and folks wanting to start over again, right, in some manner. Whether social media or something in school, and that's both ways, right? That would be why we are that place for some students and the neighbor is that place for some other students.
Right.
And that's a half dozen or so, right? But that may account for the slightly higher, even though, we're twice as high as O'Malley for coming in, even though we're not twice as big.
Right,
And we are also more going out slightly, right? There's an uptick there. So that may anecdotally be something to think about that might not be a conventional way of thinking
right.
about it. So I know that is a reason for both situations.
That's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, just so I'm clear. So I look at 10th grade, 32 students. That's where they are right now, but they could have left at any point prior.
Yes, right. That didn't give us the data on
Yeah.
when they left. Just trying to think if there's a way we can start tracking that every year. To see who left that. We often don't get good data on that, but it's something we can look into.
Yeah, just fifth grade how are we to understand the drop or the rise there from?
Remember, it just so happens that the fifth grade class has not many kids who have choiced out, but the sixth graders, fourth graders could have choiced out at any time along the way. Like, it just doesn't tell you in any way, shape, or form when they choiced out.
Okay.
Yeah, it just happened. This is a snapshot in time, currently this year. You know, how many kids in that grade are choiced out.
And that, I mean, just tell me if I'm wrong, but that would also, I mean, certain districts only allow people in certain grades when they have space. But Rockport, I think my understanding is, will let everybody in, I mean, lets people in every year.
We do too.
Right,
But-
and we do too, but I'm saying I know other districts don't.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
So it makes it even more
Yeah.
complicated to sort of track.
Right, that's actually gonna come up tonight and then come in the future, because we're gonna need a program subcommittee meeting about the school choice policy. I'll
Okay,
get it in a moment.
okay,
But even those who let them in only in certain grades, still would have kids in all grades.
right. No, I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's all okay, great. And then, school choice out to Rockport by grade level, so again, this is the, the declining number, the lowest number of all time, choicing out to Rockport. Where you see they're just the same across all grades.
Right.
And again, there are by far the largest number. So, most of these students are coming to Rockport, there's a number, so. So the last piece on this is, you have to do a revision of a school choice policy. SE has advised us that our policy needs to be updated, okay? Admission criteria cannot include a review of attendance or student disciplinary record. Okay, we want to consider revising the dates and deadlines, and also clarify the process. Typically, what happens is districts, who participate in school choice, they determine a set number of seats at specific grade levels. It could be, only say, sixth or ninth, sort of thing. Or it could be, only kindergarten, sort of thing. They can do that, or you can do a total number of seats in grade spans, that sort of thing. So that's one way you can sort of, I'll say, put some parameters on it. But you can't have criteria that would be exclusionary anyway. In our code policy.
We started working on this.
We did,
Yes,
and then we were looking for guides from DESI.
right, and now we got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it took quite some time, actually.
yes, this is a
Yeah.
long time. Okay, so we will set up a program.
Yeah. So that's all on that. And now we're going to move to Mr. Cook, Mr. Pastorello. Give us an update on the competency determination for graduation. You could do that.
Sorry.
So we're presenting tonight about the competency determination for graduation requirements. I'm sorry, I'm off to the side.
No, it's all right.
It's pretty low here. There we go.
Oh, that's great.
Okay. So just some background. We know that the ballot question number 2 passed in November, which removed the MCAS requirement for graduation. And in response to that, we need to determine what our competency determination is in place of that. And it must be something that is demonstrating mastery of core common skills and competencies and knowledge in the areas that the MCAS had tested in the year 2023. Okay. So how does the new law impact, first of all, our graduating class of 2025, who is the most urgent decision that we need to make? So first of all, students in the class of 2025 who have passed the MCAS, either the last time, or even if if they took the retest in November and they passed, that counts as their competency determination. They are, as long as they finish our other requirements for graduation, they are fine. But students who have not passed the MCAS by the November retest, they will have to determine that, we will have to determine their competency in another manner, including those that are on educational proficiency plans. DESE, in many of their communications, says they will provide guidance in the future, but we need to make this decision now. So we're gonna make decisions as we can for this year. If we need to adjust as we get more guidance, that's something that we would bring back to the committee. But it's most important that we make some decisions and publicize it for the class of 2025. So as outlined in the new law.
Can I ask a question? I'm not sure if I've seen the term educational.
Proficiency plan.
EPP.
Yes, have we talked about that?
So that's what happens when a student, in the past on the MCAS was at the needs improvement or
Okay, so
the
then-
not meeting. They had to, we had to make sure they were taking courses
Okay.
and monitoring their mid-year and final assessments to make sure they're still making progress. So
Okay.
it was like an internal thing we did to make sure they were still working towards the progress. They didn't have to retake the MCAS because they had reached the partially meeting criteria, and that was okay for the MCAS, but we needed to keep making sure they were being educated in a way that moves them
Yes.
forward. Whereas students who failed or not meeting expectations, that was the newer language, those students needed to keep retesting. And those are the students we talked about much more because it was, they had to, in the past, they had to at least get to partially meeting in order to graduate. And that's the thing that's changed.
Great, thank you.
So as outlined in the new law, a student who has not earned a competency determination must demonstrate a mastery of a common core skill, competencies and knowledge by satisfactory completing coursework that has been certified by the student's district. So that's what we're bringing to you to do today. Of showing mastery of those skills, competencies and knowledge contained in the state academic standards or curriculum frameworks in the areas that were measured by MCAS in 2023. We'll go, so some common questions that people have. Are our districts still able to establish local graduation requirements? Yes. The new law only changes the competency determination criteria. Districts are still able to determine the local graduation requirements for each district. Will high school students be required to take the MCAS in 2025 and beyond? That answer is also yes. Participation in MCAS is required by federal and state law, and the ballot question did not change this requirement. DESE's accountability system will still continue to assess participation rates and the resulting achievement for growth data in the annual determination. So our school district will still get that accountability rating based on the MCAS scores. Do high school students still need to earn a competency determination in order to graduate? That is also a yes. High school students will need to determine that, and we need to talk about tonight what that competency determination would be. And which MCAS for high school tests were offered in 2023? So they have to pass 10th grade, like equivalent of 10th grade English and language arts, mathematics, and a science. So in 2023, even though we didn't offer all of these options for MCAS, they were still offered by MCAS. So a science could include biology, introductory to physics, chemistry, and technology and engineering. So they need to satisfactorily complete one of those courses. Okay. You have a question?
So am I hearing you right, Amy, that seems like the answer to the question is yes. Do high school students still need to earn a competency determination in order to graduate? The answer to that is yes. Are we developing that competency determination?
We are determining what that is, yes. And we have a proposal that we're gonna share with you tonight, what it could be.
And okay, so is that outside the local graduation requirements, or does that kind of dovetail?
It's included in the local, so in our local graduation requirements, we have all of however many years of each course and number of credits.
Yeah.
And it used to say, and successfully passing MCAS. We have to take that out because of this new law.
Right.
And we are replacing it with either what we're proposing tonight or what the committee decides. So we're gonna talk about that. Okay,
As per usual, I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
that's okay.
I was gonna ask a question that's ahead of myself, but I'm gonna hold it.
All right. So what are the requirements for districts to do to create this? Well, DESI recommends that first we align with the new language of the statute in ways that allow districts to demonstrate students who have met the new requirements. We need to approve by the governing board, which is all of you, of what our competency determination will be. Once we have approved that, we need to share it with all students, families, and guardians, stakeholders, and publicly make it available in multiple languages. And again, the most important or most urgent is the class of 2025, needs to know what these are. Okay. As you most likely know, there are scholarships that are attached to MCAS. If you receive a certain proficiency or level in there, there's the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship, there's the Stanley Z. Kolpick certificate, and then there's the Seal of Biliteracy. And these will still be available, there's no change there. And some of those come with nice scholarships. So graduation requirements, by completing Gloucester High School graduation requirements, students will also have met the competency determination requirements as set forth by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Students must demonstrate, and this is from the statute, mastery of common core skills, competency, and knowledge by satisfactorily completing coursework that has been certified by the student's district as showing mastery of these skills, competencies, and knowledge contained in the state academic standards and curriculum frameworks in the areas measured by MCAS high school tests described in section 1, administered in 2023. Sorry to just read slides, but because it's a statute, I thought it was important. So here are the graduation requirements for Gloucester High School. What is in yellow is what is either changing wording or requirements. And this is when I'm going to let Principal Cook take over.
Sure. So to keep things simple, we are saying that our graduation requirements include the CD. So parents and families, school committee, after the school committee decides, we're proposing that whatever our graduation requirements are also satisfy the new law. So that's what we've got here in one table. We've got everything they need to know is all right here. So we're trying to keep it simple for obvious reasons for community students and the community, parents, and so on. Following on the very first row, we have always had a graduation requirement of 4 years of English. We are now simply stating in the yellow revised language that those courses follow the academic standards and curriculum frameworks. They do, anyway, they already do, but we're just saying it here.
Matching the
For the competency determination. So that was not a change in requirement. We've always had a 4-year requirement. Our courses are already aligned with the frameworks. We're simply saying it so it's clear that it satisfies the CD.
It was basically stating what's already there.
Yes, you got it. The first one is stating what's already there. The math one. We have had also for many years, not my entire time at Gloucester High School, but for many, many years, and not all schools have this, but we've had a 4-year math requirement for graduation already. What we will be requiring is that of the classes students pass, they need to pass courses that follow the curriculum frameworks in both algebra and geometry. That looks different for different students and tracks. But so students have different ways of following the algebra frameworks and the geometry frameworks. But as long as they take a course or courses that follow the algebra frameworks and the geometry frameworks, they get their CD, because that's what the law requires. That also already happens. We're just saying it here, because we've already had the 4-year requirement. First and second year, that's when students take geometry and algebra and geometry. In fact, some students actually take algebra at O'Malley and then come up here and take geometry and algebra 2. But that also already has to happen, because you have to take those to take any higher courses.
Right.
The third and fourth course, but we're just stating it to make it very transparent. And also to provide guidance to future folks who might want to tinker around with the program of studies and so on, to make sure they abide by it, making sure there's the algebra frameworks and the geometry frameworks, and what students have. Okay. The third and really final change is in science. The 3 years of science, which are already required, one of those years, one of the 3 years, need to be in biology, introductory physics, chemistry, or technology and engineering. Again, you already have to do that. You can't get 3 years of science at Gloucester High School without one of the years being one of those courses. And the reason it's those courses, in case this is a question, the reason it's those courses, because those are the science tests that were offered in 2023. So you just have to pass a course that is in one of those areas of the 3 years. Now, most students pass all 3, right? Many students, some pass 2, and then take some electives, but it's already a requirement for 3 years, and one of the years needs to be in a tested area.
So, I think you said this about English, or you said it about algebra, I think, and geometry. But in all of these cases, I'm assuming there are different tracks, right? There's.
Yeah, different levels,
there's
different what we call levels. They're not, because students can move, so we don't call them tracks
Okay, I don't-
anymore,
yeah,
because
it's
you
not
don't
the
have to
language.
follow
I don't
them,
know what the
so.
regular, with the
Yeah,
appropriate
yeah.
language. Different levels?
Levels, yep, different levels.
Okay, so a student, there might be AP Chem.
Yes,
And there might be not AP Chem.
Yep.
And
college preparation 2 chemistry would be a slower paced course, but still the same frameworks.
right, so that was, whether it's the one or the
Mhm.
other, that would count as
Exactly.
passing.
Yep. And that's one of the things that, I do, the program leaders do, Amy does, is we oversee the scope and sequences and the textbook selection to make sure that these courses do follow the state frameworks, no matter the level. It's just a matter of depth, right? And, in terms of how those standards are covered, but in all of our courses, if it's biology, they cover the standards. If it's chemistry, they cover the standards.
And how did the MCAS in 2023, like, I mean, how is this showing a competency that the MCAS would have shown then?
Yeah, so we, just, way back, right, 1993 ed reform, right? Sorry to say, the idea was that MCAS would be a comprehensive assessment system
Right.
that originally was going to have many ways that students could show their competencies, right? Could be through projects, in testing would be one of the ways. So these courses have unit assessments that are reviewed by me. You remember the NEASC folks who
Right.
came and accredited us, like they look at our curriculum and, we look at our curriculum repeatedly and I'll make sure it's aligned. So the courses are designed with units that have assessments in them. Sometimes tests and project-based learning
I
that
see.
embed the assessment. So along the way, you're showing the competency. You have to pass the class, you need to demonstrate at least partial mastery, which is equivalent to what the MCAS
Right.
was on a single test testing previously.
Okay.
Yeah. So that leads us to where we are now.
And that's
Wait, can I just
absolutely.
go back? I just want to see, so the other requirements for graduation, even though these haven't changed.
Yep.
I'm just looking,
There's still three years of social studies. 10 credits of health and fitness, 2.5 being in health. 5 of practical finance or CBTE and 2.5 in computer science literacy courses. Those have not changed. The total number of credits have not changed either.
and so this seems to make sense. I mean, you guys are the educators, right? What does this do to administrators? Like, how did this work for tracking?
The graduation requirement?
Yeah, I mean, what is this sort of just doing what you've been doing all along?
Our guidance counselors will be paying attention to these particular courses. So there's a particular form they use to track. Students have completed this, completed this, completed this, and they'll just have to update that to include language about, you know, the geometry and the algebra. Where did they do that?
Right.
They'll have to update some language about where did they do the science for MCAS. You know, Laura Carlson's already done it, basically, like, you know, a draft of it and to see if it would work or how it would work. And that can be revised if the committee makes a different decision. So, you know, because of the class of 2025, because we have currently 19 students who did not meet their CD in the old way. They would have had a couple more attempts this year, so we would have maybe cut that number in half or something by the end, right? But we have 19 students who, instead of showing their competency determination the old way by MCAS, need to pass, if the committee agrees, these courses. And they before they graduate, they have to meet our standards anyway.
Right.
So each of these students, they don't need any changes in their courses. If they failed the class in the past, well, they gotta pass that to graduate anyway. If it's an MCAS area, does that make sense? So every single one of our students currently, if this is agreed to, as long as they pass their already established graduation requirements, and they're already in those courses, and we have all sorts of support, extra support for seniors as well, they will graduate, you know, they'll participate in the ceremony with us in June.
And if they don't,
Yes,
right, of those 19,
yes,
if there's some number that does not pass
Yep.
one of the, you know, in one of the areas.
Yep.
Then what?
they attend summer school, right? Some of them actually stay with us after graduation and finish before we leave for the summer. Every year this happens, they can't participate in the ceremony, but they wrap it up because we keep them around and we set up special areas where they can do the coursework and make up, we call it credit recovery, right? Like make up the part, where haven't they shown proficiency in a particular course and make sure they have enough to do that. Some students come back for summer school, and students who have failed multiple courses repeat a 5th year. And you might remember from our MCAS presentation that we have a 5th year completer measure that we need to keep making growth in. Like we want to do better always with 5th year students every year. So that's what happens. We like to keep them around until they finish. It's our goal.
Yes.
But
Right.
that's, but that's no different than what we currently do.
That's right, exactly. Yes, it's basically, we don't have to worry about MCAS anymore, Bill, is the big difference.
Right.
Because they're satisfying for graduation requirement.
Right.
Yeah, for
Still
graduation.
measures our schools.
And when you, yes,
Still be.
yeah, and I wanted to say something to answer Laura's question about that part, but
Yeah,
because there's another part of administrator work that is involved in the MCAS now that you, and I do want to say something about that.
No, I don't, that was it, I just.
Okay. Yep, it's very similar to what we're doing for graduation, it's what we're already doing. What I did want to say about administrators, so some of our work is how do we motivate high school teenagers to care about a test that doesn't matter for their graduation anymore. And so we have learned some lessons in our access testing. Right, and so our access scores, that's what our multilingual students take, they're taking them now, Ben talked about it earlier, right? Our students that's some of our intermediates and more advanced students are doing it today. And to share an anecdote, one of the things we've done is we have each of the students set a goal for themselves. So with their teacher, they do a lot of work with our 3 EL teachers led by Sabrina Giordano, making their goals. So when students run a break today from their tests, I happened to be in the hall and I was I said to, hey, what's your goal? Right, 4.3, I want to flap, be a former limited English proficient student.
Okay.
So the students are in the testing and they're able to say what their goal is, right? Something that through the teacher work. So we need to do similar things with all of our students and have them look at their 8th grade scores and say, hey, you were at a partially meeting here. Where do you want to be now this year? What's your goal? And how are you gonna achieve that goal? So meeting with, Ali Walsh and Michael Tells, some of the and then John Barry, but in science, but that's not till June. So I'm really focusing on Michael, which is March, and Ali, which is May. coming up with those incentives, motivating students through their own goal setting and also through some collective incentives about attendance and, what are some things we can come up with to get kids excited to kind of show the test that we can defeat you, basically. Like,
Right.
we're all on the same team trying to show what we've
Show
learned here.
Right.
And really, I mean, I believe we can do, I believe we can do well at that, and Sabrina's really, and the multilingual teachers have shown us. And it's made a big difference in our, as you might remember from our report,
Right.
in that with our access scores, it's made a big difference that the kids care. And we can see them taking longer, spending more time, more invested in. We gotta do that with MCAS now too, which is new. Because we haven't had to create that kind of motivation. And since, 2000, 2001, when I was a very young teacher.
Or I had to create it with a smaller group of students. Or I had to create that with a smaller group of students.
Yeah,
Because you can still, motivate some students.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But the same MCAS are gonna be given.
Yes.
They
Yes.
just don't count for the same.
Yes,
It counts for,
oh, and that's the other.
program school accountability and progress.
And the scholarship, so we do have students that we will be able to, continue to motivate in that way as well. So that's something I forgot to mention. But
Right.
we will be leaning in on the Adams and the Koplik scholarships as well as a major motivating factor for some of our students. So we're already thinking about how do we motivate kids and what can we learn from the past and how can we be innovative about motivation. So that's our new administrative problem.
Interesting.
Carl, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
No.
I was waiting.
I'll listen to you for a minute.
So is there pressure on a teacher who would feel bad if they did not pass their student, where if MCAS was MCAS, it's an outside force. It's not a personal relationship.
Right.
And so how do administrators kind of oversee and monitor accountability from teachers to expect actually, like no grade inflation.
Yep.
Right? And we're gonna have MCAS scores still.
Yep.
And I would just I would assume we will continue to monitor a correlation between, how many kids are proficient or, almost meeting or whatever, relative to their score in their class.
Yep.
This is kind of one of my concerns, is that it becomes a little more subjective. Hopefully not. But people are human.
Right, so that's some of the work we already do and continue to do as far as making sure courses are aligned to the standards, aligned to the framework, that there's some common assessments that departments use. We also have the STAR 360, which
big.
is relatively new at the high school, but I met with a teacher just yesterday who was so eager to share the growth scores of the students in her class from beginning of the year to middle of the year, which were amazing.
Right.
So we'll still be able to have some data to look at that. And, if we're seeing a lot of students that are not passing or really not doing well in STAR and they're all getting A's, I don't think that's going to happen. I
Right,
know it's not gonna happen,
But you've got that.
there is a way to look to
Yeah.
that. But our teachers, I am seeing are very invested in the curriculum and making sure that they're hitting the frameworks. And so, it's something that can be monitored. I'm not as worried about that.
Yeah.
No, I can speak to, also, I think I mentioned, the power of like the comparative tool we have now, Link It, right?
Yes.
Which we actually teachers can do their data teams looking at these things side by side. The grade, an MCAS score, STAR 360,
And see.
access,
and
right?
hopefully the
Right, and see if there's not. We do this at SST. Departments now use this data, particularly the MCAS departments, because they're the ones that are most into this data, meaning math and biology and English. So I think we're heading like for us, we're heading the opposite direction. We're also like looking at more data, that's around particular kinds of writing assessments that are in common. So something that's really complicated at the high school that's really important is when you have two different texts You have to write about them both, right? Like this is so, such an important skill for life, is you have a question to answer and you gotta look, and the MCAS had the renewed emphasis on looking at multiple texts to answer a question, right? That level of complexity, and so we have our own departmental assessments that the teachers meet, to how are our kids doing with this? So they have that data, and then they have the MCAS version of that data to look at. So in a sense, I think Kathy, I think we're in a good place for this to happen now. Like, if this was going to happen, right, I think we're in a good place as a school to.
Right, 3 years ago.
Right, exactly,
That
yes, right, this may have
Right.
been more of a disruption to us than it is now.
Thank you, that's. It reassures me, for sure.
And in your, in the slideshow that you have, this is a link to additional, frequently asked questions from Desi, if you have additional questions. But just so that you know that's there.
What's the deadline for you?
Well, the deadline is that we have a class of 2025, we need to get some communication out as soon as possible.
Yeah, they didn't put a,
They
that
didn't, they
they
didn't
put
just
one.
didn't give us a deadline,
Oh,
they
they
just said, get the
No.
information out soon.
Wow.
They sort of said, honestly, to us, and then you, like, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
they put the pressure on us and we're sharing that. In what they, guidance they gave us, you're the next step.
Right.
In the guidance.
No, I just would have imagined there would have been a deadline.
So I
Right.
expect to vote next meeting?
I would think so, you probably wanna think about it and have discussion, and do some research of your own, that's absolutely, we could vote on it next meeting, does that sound right then?
It's right, yeah, it's definitely.
That's fine. Yeah. And know that we're making this decision now, you all always can ask for us to come back a year, 2, 5, 10 years from later to revisit if you are asking for changes, so this is our proposal. Particularly for the class of 2025 or possibly beyond, it fits into what we have so far. And you both feel comfortable with it, I think. And measuring it through the data cycles that we're using, so.
So this lovely schedule you have with all, with the requirements.
Yep.
The word competency determination is really what we're talking about in terms of students passing.
Yes.
So to me, the way this is phrased, it's that they have to take the class. And this one little box says they actually have to pass and show they did well in the class. So I would like more wording around that on anything that gets approved. Like, what does competency determination mean? There's gotta be something about passing,
A passing grade, right?
a passing grade, not
Okay,
just.
so I think that's, and
I
for
think
us,
that
that's
was-
credits,
Right.
right, like in our
I know,
language,
which is,
and
but to you.
yep,
It is understood.
Yeah.
If I'm a parent reading this, I realize obviously you don't pass your ninth grade English, you're gonna retake ninth grade English.
Right.
But I just,
Right, so you're thinking about the reader being either students
Yes,
or families.
And to be overly clear, and that's a good
Yeah.
suggestion. And the other part, James, this part, the slide before, this is some of the language that would go into the catalog or the.
it's right above, this would appear
And this does
above
speak
the
to
graph.
mastery. But if we certainly could add passing or some language into this, that would be
I
just.
mean, James, you could even ask
Overly
a couple parents to say what does this mean to you.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. And I was thinking the same thing, James, is that sitting here as a school committee member saying, I'm assuming that means they're passing the class.
Yes, I think that's a very good point, that's a
Yeah.
very good point.
Yeah.
Mastery is not.
No, this is great, cause this, we've had this chart for, like 20-something years before I was an English teacher or whatever, and no, that's great feedback, cause I think we just haven't
Well,
looked
and
at the chart.
with the MCAS to say you have to pass. so-
Right, but we did,
Right.
but this also, you had to pass
Means you
these
had
though too.
Yeah, right.
All along, you had to pass these,
Right.
but if it's not clear, it needs to be made clear, right?
Yeah.
So we can add language
Yeah.
along. Yeah.
All right, well. How do you feel as a teacher?
I feel, I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about in terms of determining it. Our kids are over both were tested. So, you know, in every class, there's pre-assessment, post-assessment, in-class writings, like we have, well, benchmarks, regular quizzes, regular tests, so, you know, it's nonstop. And I mean, if they can pass all of this, then they can cross the stage. So what we're really talking about is a very small amount of kids that might not be able to pass the MCAS, given the 5-time retake rule. So I think our decision is, you know, needs to consider the 10% or the 12% of kids that won't pass, and we know they won't pass, and so we need to make it as amenable to them. Because most kids pass the MCAS.
Right.
You know, the numbers, like, it's what, you know, like a 10th grade teacher is excited for the MCAS not to be as prominent, you know, in terms of teaching. And with this, they're doing their job, you know, they're teaching 10th grade English or history or science, math, so kind of nerdily excited to figure this one out.
There's something I wanted to add, Jeremy made me think about from, you know, the teacher's perspective, and I did want to say another thing that was the retesting that you'll be familiar with. When you have the 5 retests, it's a lot of missed learning. Like they're out, like,
I know.
because there are only a handful of kids testing on those days, the kids who we most need to be in class are missing a couple weeks
Oh, wow.
of instruction, right?
Wow.
You know, in not in the whole day,
Yeah.
but in a few classes, right? And so in terms of that load of testing, this lifts that as well. And if a student does not show competency in biology, they will still need to demonstrate that you know, through our credit recovery systems, through retaking the class, all the things that, you know, would put more of the emphasis on the instruction. Again, as long as we're doing all together, we're looking at the curriculum and our assessments and doing that collegially as our teachers do through the professional learning communities to make sure the rigor and they're getting the foundational knowledge without being over tested.
And I know one of the big criticisms is that sometimes people don't do well on this kind of test, so I'm glad that this makes it very clear, because I know before people didn't pass MCAS, there really was the alternative assessment of competency that the district would have to, I think, you must have to submit something, like you had to show that if a student didn't pass MCAS, but they showed competency in another,
Portfolio.
in another way,
Yeah,
right?
which,
So this is that other way.
Right.
For those students, you know. I mean, they have multiple, you know, different ways to show the teacher they know material.
Exactly. I don't wanna miss the opportunity to say, just kind of go back to what you said earlier, James, about the English language learners, them goal setting.
Yeah.
And the importance of that, like I've been reading a lot about developing resilient students nowadays, the importance of that. And the main theme in that is, you know, setting goals.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a better example in our schools of seeing that play out than the English language learners.
Yeah.
Setting goals and saying, hey, I can overcome
yeah.
some of this stuff.
Yeah, I had a really inspiring conversation with one particular student who, you know, sometimes struggles with school in different ways, but stuck with it, right? And she's persisting. She was really excited to have the opportunity to test out of the need for the multilingual learning services, right? And just to see her finding that sense of mission and drive to achieve something.
Right.
That she really doesn't have to, right? Like this is her deciding, like this is something I want to do. And really with the guidance of the teachers and the ESP, right? Like the people who really care about her, it was really inspiring along the lines of her showing resilience, like you're saying.
And anything we can do to kind of pollinate that across the entire student
Right,
population is certainly helpful. Yeah.
I think one thing to add to that is, there's goal setting definitely, it's very, very powerful, and I really appreciate how you and your staff are using it with EL students, right? There's also kids helping kids identify what's the system they're going to use to achieve that goal, right?
Yep.
You know, and the systems you just mentioned, first utilizing the system of their teachers and instructors and paraprofessionals, and that was a crucial part of the system. And also their own system, what helps them to learn, what helps them to study, what helps them, and so. But that combination is really rich, is not only the goal setting, what do I want to achieve, but what's the system I have
How do I
to
get
achieve it.
there?
Yep, those two together.
The attendance in this case was the student.
Yeah, that's.
Identified, so
Right.
seriously, right,
Yeah.
like the student had identified, like the importance of attendance was.
Right.
Was what she knew that she had to like kick up a level to, you likely, when that was obviously. I said to her, you said it, I've been saying it for years, but you just said it, that's it, it was great.
Was that the part of the system that she wasn't utilizing?
It was, not yet, yes, not yet.
That's great.
Well, I think we've all experienced that with our own kids. I only told you 100 times, so. Glad you got it on that, I mean, first.
Thank you. This is
Yeah,
this is
thank
very
you very
thorough.
Thank you.
Feedback.
That's Amy Camp's fault.
Sometimes our family members watch and see how we do. Sometimes our family members watch and see how we do.
Oh, well, let's hear what the grade is afterwards.
I will, I'll get
You can share
assessed.
that
I'll see what the assessment is
Yes, I
when
saw that.
when I get home, yeah.
Yes, thank you, James. Thank you very
Sure,
much.
thanks for having
Both
me.
of you, appreciate you going on this and moving quickly in response to the state changes and helping us understand it.
Laura Carlson deserves a
Great.
good thanks for it as well, both
Yes,
working behind the
absolutely.
scenes on a lot of this stuff.
Thanks, Robert, too.
Thank you.
James. Good night.
Thanks, Jim.
Night.
Okay. Well, calendar.
Okay, so just to, so you're voting tonight on it, and I'll just put it up for folks to see. I'll just go back to the presentation and get to that spot here. And you have in front of you as well. But just for the folks, the public who's watching. One moment. So vote for approval tonight. So, first day for teachers, ASPs, and other school-based staff is August 31st, 2026. So just a reminder that folks who are watching, we now approve for the upcoming 2 years. So 25-26 was approved last year, and we had a small revision last time we met. And now we're doing the 2026-2027 calendar. So in August of 26, the first day for teachers, ESPs, and other school staff is August 31st. This is a year we're starting before Labor Day. The first day of students is September 2nd. It's a Wednesday, so school Wednesday, Thursday of that week, and then off on Friday by the collective bargaining agreement, the Friday before Labor Day, and then off on Labor Day, obviously. First day for students in kindergarten, pre-kindergarten is September 9th. There's kindergarten screening prior to that. It's the same as every year. And the last day for students is June 16th, 2027. And then a couple of just crucial pieces is we get after December break the 23rd, and return to school on January 2nd. See, I knew there was a second, fourth problem here. January 4th. On January 4th, sorry, the calendar is correct, the presentation is wrong for the second time in a row.
So wait, can you say, okay, so,
So on December break.
Yep.
There's a December 23rd, we get out after school until the 23rd and return on January 4th.
Right.
That's not Wednesday.
Not the first.
no,
Not the second, not the first, not
Correct.
the third, the fourth.
yes,
Okay,
the Monday, yeah,
Monday.
the Monday.
So the words
Should
are,
not come back on
the words are
Saturday.
correct, but the calendar
No
shading.
one will do that. Yeah.
No, the calendar's correct.
Right.
The words on the slideshow are not.
No, but the calendar shows we're back. No, okay, yes, you're right. Never mind.
And I thought we were pretty clear about it.
It's just my error, that's all.
Right.
Everyone's doing it right. Okay, February breaks, February 16th and 19th, obviously that includes President's Day on the 15th. April breaks, April 20th, 23rd, Patriots Day on the 19th. That's nice. Which is actually Patriots Day. And then the election days where there are no schools, the state primary, September 1st, it's not a student school day, it's happened before. We have our opening at O'Malley, so that's fine. And you said general election 2026 November 3rd. So it's as always, pressure the day call staff. So that's it, basically, nothing too extraordinary.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just checking. Always, because we have conferences.
Oh, yeah. hold on. This is- Those are what I was doing.
Yeah.
This is it, last days. June 16th.
June, Wednesday,
Okay.
New Year's Eve.
I'm not liking the yellow.
Yellow, what's the
For
yellow?
the last days.
I'm not liking the yellow for the first day and the last day in terms of the color.
Okay, color, this is color thing.
Do
Okay,
you want a darker yellow or do
I
you want
just-
a different?
I want it
color?
to stand out there.
okay,
Okay.
well. We can change that.
Thank you.
Purple might work.
People do yellow on white. Do they think people can read yellow on white? It's just not a good,
Okay, gentle.
okay.
All right.
We can fix that. That's easy to fix. Looks like Keith, I think, has his hand raised.
Yeah, hi. I'm looking at, like, I guess you have a printout of the calendar. I'm just looking at the slide.
Yeah, should be in the should be in your packet.
Okay. Yeah, well, let me just refer to the slide here for a sec here. The February break
Yeah.
and the April break for 2027, it's 4 days?
No, it doesn't, Monday is a holiday.
Okay,
So
for
the-
both February and April.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
so it's actually the 15th is off in
Right,
February, the
I
19th
gotcha.
is off.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
No problem.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the 2026-2027 school calendar as presented.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. McKean,
Yes.
Chairperson Clancy,
Yes.
Mr. Melvin,
Yes.
Mr. Minnia,
Yes.
Ms. Risa.
Yes. Okay. That concludes our, yeah, so that was the action on that. Okay. Building and Finance Subcommittee report, Melissa is not here.
I can just give a quick update, really on the tax tuition, is what I do, additional cost.
You got that?
Yeah. Want me-
Okay,
want me
sure.
to Do that?
That'd be great, because that's
Yeah,
what I.
Gary's on the line, but Gary has a cold, Gary's full of the weather, so only Gary break. But he can correct me if I blow it. Just to give, I'm just gonna read through a note, you have all these documentation already. Here we go. So just gonna really focus on, I gave you the update on the budget process, that was a piece of it. You voted the transfers, so really the capital planning process, and we'll come back to the committee with, we're working on it today actually with Mike Hale and Joe Lucido, in terms of identifying capital projects for the next upcoming years. And that's something we'll continue to work on, and then bring to BNF and then bring the committee for your knowledge. So really the only area to give you an update on is the added district cost, to which special education costs. And just to say this is that as we typically do, have had some, ins and outs, or students needing additional services or students reducing their services. At this point, we are sort of tracking in terms of district tuition costs. We are quite a bit higher on tuition, on estimated tuition. So for example, we budgeted $6 million for our district tuition, and that's up to $6.5 million. However, we anticipated two areas, anticipated new growth, dollars for that, on top of the increase in tuition, and then also special education contingency, okay? So while we budgeted $7 million for all of the tuition, including contingency and new growth, we still have $266,000 available of that, okay? So $250,000 available of that. That's considering we've eaten up a lot of the contingency, okay? If you think we had sort of above the estimated tuition, essentially $725,000, okay, above that, we now have essentially $260,000 of that available, okay? So that's, and we have, that includes 2 students who are waiting, change in placement. So that's already accounted for with that remainder 226, okay? So we're basically, at this point, sort of tracking on budget for that, but using up all the available budget, okay? Which is, generally positive, yeah, really positive.
But it's only January.
But it,
It's only January, right, yeah, it's only January, right, so, you know, this is why I'm not generally positive, not overly positive, not like confident, okay, it's sort of like, you know, like, we're okay, okay? It sort of gets, a little murkier in a moment. A place that is a positive is, average transportation costs, okay? So, we have about $1 million, budget of dollars we have not spent there, okay? That can change and will change. We've also reduced some of our expenses in those areas and in that area as well. So we just recently made it, just like one example, reduce the cost of a specific transportation specific, program at school. Okay. So while that's about $1 million ahead of budget, the challenge we have is that the circuit breaker balance. Okay, circuit breaker is the revolving fund that the state reimburses us, and they reimburse us typically for 1 year. And we, as you remember, often use those dollars the following year, which means you have a balance every year. We typically have a balance of about $1.5 million at this point in that revolving fund. It's only at $346,000. So it's over $1 million, no, sorry, about $1 million less than what we want to have, okay? Because that allows us to prepay, and also puts us in better shape in the upcoming fiscal year, okay? So while we're doing well on transportation, we're sort of at budget and, I'd say a sort of an iffy position on tuition and not in a good position on circuit breaker. Okay, so, and we will have more costs, that could be in placement of children, that could be needing additional, expenditures at the school level. So it's something we got to watch really, really closely. And also, as you know, especially when it regards to circuit breaker, the budgets are linked year to year. And so using all those dollars we have available to us really will make it much more difficult next year. We don't want that to happen. Okay, so that's just a basic overview. The detailed numbers and tables are in the BNF.
Did we touch on the contingency fund or no?
Yeah, just that, when I was talking about transportation, tuition, that's the, you go from 6 million. All right, it's a terrible noise. I don't know why that's happening. The contingent was $400,000, okay? And we essentially eaten up used 140,000 of that. And that's why 260,000 left. Yeah. So let me say it in a different way. We approved a budget. We approved a budget for $7 million for adjunct tuition. We have already allocated, just do math quickly, $6.64 million of that. $6.6 million of that. Okay. What's 266 minus $1 million up minus 266,000, please? It's embarrassing. I'm doing this very well.
Yeah, that's, can you hear me?
Yes.
We spent 6.740 of the 7 million.
Yeah, so of the 7 million, we've allocated 6.7 million.
But allocated meaning the ones that are in out of district placement, you've accounted for the rest of the year.
Right.
Well, we accounted for what we know right now.
Right.
Yeah, so 6.74 of that we've accounted for.
If everything shakes out right to the end of the year as currently constituted, it would be 6.7.
Yeah, but things change, and so that's why, there isn't much more room out of just tuition, there really isn't. And there is room on transportation, there's not room on, in fact, we're well behind on circuit breaker. So all told, that leaves a an okay position, but not one we can be entirely confident about. It should not be entirely confident. Especially because the linkage to next year. You know. Yeah.
Next item of business is action. We have some grants to accept, and I think I'm going to read them all at once without objection, and we can vote on them all at the same time. And Keith has had to sign off, so we no longer have to do roll call vote. Okay, so I move that we accept the Gloucester Education Foundation district-wide elementary course grant in the amount of $4,100.33. Also, we accept the Gloucester Education Foundation O'Malley Academy grant in the amount of $31,200. The Gloucester Education Foundation Music Technology Upgrades grant in the amount of $11,285.57. And the Gloucester Education Foundation Romeo and Juliet Workshops with Lane's Coven grant in the amount of $5,795.11. And I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent opportunities for the kids. Okay, we can vote. Oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, seven.
Which ones they built?
Yeah, that was
Those were not on our, those grants were not on our.
You look
Oh.
at the.
Am I looking at the wrong agenda?
So, yeah, those grants.
Yeah.
That
was last year.
Mass CEC.
Yeah,
climate.
there's only two climate categories.
So let me read them, or you,
Wait, it's this, I can show you. It's this one.
Wrong agenda. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so
Delete that. I take back my motion. She takes back her
I
second.
take, right, it's all gone.
Okay,
yes.
I move that we accept the Mass. Oh, so these grants were ones that we had Brenda Waslick here and she went through them at different school committee meetings, and this is actually accepting the grants.
Okay.
So we have all the background, we had our chance to ask
Yep.
questions and celebrate this wonderful, these wonderful grants. I move that we accept the Mass CEC Climate Critical ARPA grant in the amount of $275,966. I so move.
Second.
Seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I move that we accept the Climate Critical ARPA Equipment and Infrastructure Grant in the amount of $670,000 and $684.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry about that. Okay, and then we've already approved the calendar. Okay, so now we are going into executive session. Pursuant to executive session purpose 3 of Mass General Law 30A, section 21A, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Gloucester, Massachusetts Nurses Association and AFSCME Clerical Unit A. And we will only come out for purpose to adjourn. I so move.
Second.
Okay, we'll talk about this second.
Mr. McKean.
Yes.
Chairperson Clancy.
Yes.
Mr. Melvin.
Yes.
Ms. Weezer.
Yes.
This is.
Great, good night. Good night, everyone.